Andre Yap welcoming you to another RIPPLECAST. We're joined today by Joe Bueller, good friend, and author of the blog Marketing in the Smart Web. Joe's expertise is in the intersection of online travel, destination marketing, and lately, in the last 3 years, Joe, using the social web to create opportunities and results for his clients in the food, travel, and tourism space. So welcome, Joe.
Glad to be here, Andre.
Today we're going to talk about food and travel, stories and personalities, and the web. We're going to give you a sampler of how people in the food and travel space, people who own or manage their own restaurants, bars, cafes, hotels, bed and breakfast, inn, retail store, art gallery, anything that's related to food and travel, how they are using stories and personalities and the power of the social web to create results for their business. Hope you'll join us. So Joe, let's take a look at Roger Smith Hotel and this page in their website called Roger Smith Life. I'm at the particular section that says stories. And interestingly enough, I'll scroll down, read a little bit from here. The Roger Smith Hotel is a place of many people, their stories, experiences, and activities. Stories help the spirit of Roger Smith become even broader and more dynamic. And look at the stories they have. Julia, a dog named Waffle, and the ghost of Roger Smith. Why fly to LA when you can drive? These are interesting stories that have done what for the Roger Smith Hotel? Joe?
Yeah, I think what happened with the Roger Smith is that they have become probably one of the better or best known small hotels in a large city like New York that has established a very unique position, because exactly what you showed here, that they don't focus on what happens all too often, which are, the usual hotel amenities, the rooms, the function rooms, the prices, and so on. They talk about what makes this place unique and how do you enjoy your stay. One of the top writers in social media, Chris Brogan, actually is a regular guest, and he found this hotel through the social web. He had no idea that this place existed. And so these people are taking a very active role, but again, it's not a corporate voice, it's not a sort of usual marketing spin. It's a totally different approach.
I guess what makes this story extra special is, and I won't quote you on this is my own opinion, is that for all intents and purposes, if you look at the Roger Smith as a hotel per se in the middle of Manhattan, it's in many ways unremarkable and average.
Yeah.
But they have turned themselves into a destination hotel for a very noisy audience, noisy in a positive way, a very noisy audience on the web. Let's see what you have here, Joe, for us.
I came across this hostel, Colonial, which is in Buenos Aires. And what struck me is that they actually tell their story through pictures. They show very interesting photos of Buenos Aires throughout history. And
could you just double back again, Joe, please, for us?
For the whole story.
I love those black and white pictures. So they start off with, at the very top of the page, Joe, a picture of current day.
Yes, they have
Buenos
a
Aires.
night view, right?
Present, okay.
And then they have 1943, a shot from Life magazine. They have, again, a series of photos. Then they show some local photography, fine art. It's probably a gallery, which is again an interesting element. Don't just talk about yourself or your property or your restaurant. Talk about what's around you, what makes your place worth a visit. And
so the stories here are told in pictures of the past and present of the Buenos Aires is the home of the Hotel Colonial.
Right. And like here they show their own shots, like a night scene, like they give it a story. So I think this is a very interesting way of approaching their customer base. And hostel customers are typically young people, backpackers, and people who do not travel with a large budget. And how well, in what other more effective way could you actually reach those people? So I find this a very, very good example.
Excellent. Sauce and the Single Girl. It's an interesting way to combine stories and personalities that emanate from the perspective not of the establishment, not of the restaurant in this case, but it's basically the story of a customer and how one Tuesday evening she happened to find the inclination to go to this place. So I'm going to read a little bit. I'm as Irish as they come, but my favorite foods are Italian and Mexican. Keep your corned beef, I'll take panna cotta or a big fat burrito any day. One Tuesday as I stare down my oven in a war of cooking wills, my friend Barbie calls. She works at CNC Pizza in Guildford. Do you want to come down for some pizza? Tuesdays are generally slow, so you can hang out, she says. It only takes as long as my putting down the phone and grabbing my coat before I'm out the door. It's an interesting take on testimonials because you're really not telling the customer what they should say about you. You're soliciting stories from them about how they came or come to interact with your place. So definitely when you talk about personalities, you're talking about the cast of characters that surround, let's say, a restaurant, which could be anywhere from the lead characters such as the owners, the chefs, to the supporting characters like the waiters, the staff, to obviously the most important characters, the customers.
Exactly.
Right? So that's what we mean by personalities. All right, Joe, your turn.
Right. Well, here we have a great example of a friend of mine who is based in The Hague in Netherlands. And
what's his name?
This is Guido van Elsenhuyst, who has a small bed and breakfast hotel, suite hotel. He's been blogging for a number of years under the name Happy Hotelier, and he really lives up to the name. He talks about not himself, but he asks people, tell me about you, who are you? He says, before I give you some insight in my backgrounds, I would like to ask you, distinguished reader of this blog, to comment on this page and introduce your good self with some of your own background information. I and possibly your fellow readers would like to know who you are. Please feel free to promote yourself here shamelessly and even to rant about what I write or wrote. So
I should just point out that entry is at the top of his About Us section.
Right.
It's not about who, about you.
Right.
That's
and imagine how many About Us sections we read.
Yes.
So this is really an upside down way of going about it.
Joe, tell us a little bit, just the first couple of sentences on his background. Very interesting background.
Yes, he actually.
Here you go.
Started out as an international tax lawyer and practiced for over 25 years and traveled extensively. And then in '96, his dad asked him to take the rudder of the family company in The Hague. So, cut a long story short, they actually had a part of the building, he calls it a Siamese twin townhouse, next to where they lived. And that is now the suites of The Hague, or the Haagse suites. And it has only a few rooms. And he operates this with his family, his wife, and that's the story he puts across very, very effectively.
Another exquisite combination of stories and personalities combined with the web to make it work for a travel business.
Right.